Imagine this, you're sitting across from her at a cafe. She's telling you how much she likes honesty in a man, how she just wants someone who respects her. Her words sound sweet, almost convincing. But then you notice her phone lighting up with texts she hides from you. You see the way her body leans back when you speak, how her eyes wander to the door whenever someone more interesting walks in. Her words are saying one thing, but her actions, they're screaming the truth you don't want to face. That's the brutal reality of attraction psychology. Actions don't just speak louder than words. They are the truth. Everything else is noise. You've probably been there, listening to promises, explanations, excuses. Maybe she said she was just busy, but her social media shows her out every night. Maybe she swore she was serious about you, but still keeps her ex around like a friend. Maybe she told you she wasn't ready for commitment, but a month later she's posting couple selfies with someone else, and you sit there, replaying her words in your head like they matter more than the evidence in front of you. That's where most men fall apart. They choose to believe what is said, not what is done. Attraction has always been revealed by behavior, never by speech. A woman doesn't need to tell you she respects you. Her respect is shown when she doesn't interrupt you, when she doesn't test your patience with little games, when she actually invests in your presence. She doesn't need to say she's loyal. Her loyalty shows when she naturally avoids situations that would tempt her, when she's transparent with you without being asked. If her actions are consistent, her words will align. If they don't, then her words are a mask, and her actions are the face beneath it. This is where you need to stop making the mistake so many men make. You overvalue reassurance. You want her to say the right thing, to give you comfort in the moment, because you don't trust yourself to see the truth. So you cling to promises. You cling to "I love you," even when her actions are cold. You cling to "I'll change," even though you've seen this pattern before. And every time you ignore the evidence of her behavior, you hand away your power. You're not just being lied to, you're volunteering to be deceived. Here's the psychological trick women play. Often unconsciously, they know words can buy time. A man who is unsure will stay a little longer if he hears "don't worry." He'll second-guess his instincts if she cries and says, "You're imagining it." He'll ignore the cheating signs if she insists, "You're the only one I care about." Words are a delay tactic, a smokescreen. They keep you emotionally invested while her actions tell a different story. And once you're hooked on her words, she owns the tempo. She decides when to withdraw, when to come back, when to dangle just enough attention to keep you from leaving. It's not the words that control you, it's your choice to believe them. So, what do? You shift from listening to watching. You train yourself to evaluate her interest and respect by her behavior. Does she reach out first? Or is it always you chasing? Does she make plans to see you? Or does she always leave you hanging? Does she show up on time, present, genuinely attentive, or does she treat your presence as optional? These little things matter more than any declaration she makes. Because here's the reality, attraction is never hidden. It leaks out in her consistency, in her small daily choices. If she wants you, you'll feel it in her effort. If she doesn't, no amount of words will cover that up. And when you catch the mismatch between her words and her actions, you have to respond with indifference, not arguments, not begging for clarity. Indifference. If she says she cares but acts distant, you don't chase, you pull back further. If she promises change but repeats the same behavior, you stop reminding her, you step out of the cycle. Indifference is not cruelty, it is power. It communicates one thing clearly: you will not be fooled by words when actions already told the truth. And the moment she feels that your attention cannot be bought cheaply, she either rises to match her actions with her words or she leaves. Either outcome is a win for you. Think back for a moment. How many times have you chosen her words over her actions? How many nights did you sit awake replaying something she said, while ignoring how she treated you hours earlier? How many months, even years, have you wasted waiting for her behavior to catch up to her promises? That's the cost of blindness, lost time, drained energy, broken confidence. You cannot afford it anymore. From now on, you trust only what you see, not what you're told. You respond only to behavior, not explanations. Have you ever recognized yourself in this exact situation? What happened next? Which one of these toxic behaviors have you faced before? Be specific in the comments. What's the hardest part of walking away when you know she's manipulating you? You've probably noticed how often women test men without ever admitting it. She might say she doesn't play games, yet she'll go silent for a day after you don't reply fast enough. She might claim she hates drama, yet she'll stir conflict over something trivial just to watch how you react. Here's the truth. These are not accidents. They're patterns. And if you're not paying attention, you'll take her words at face value while her actions are running the real experiment, testing your emotional stability, your boundaries, and your tolerance for disrespect. Think about the last time a woman went cold on you. Maybe she didn't answer your text for hours, then popped back with some casual line like, "Oh, sorry, I was busy." That's the word. But the action is her showing you where you rank on her priority list. If you immediately replied, gave her warmth, acted like nothing happened, she learns that she can withdraw attention without consequences. And once she knows that, the withdrawal becomes a weapon. She will keep pulling away. Not because she lost interest necessarily, but because it makes you chase harder. That's control, not connection. This is why so many men burn themselves out in relationships. You confuse her pulling away as a sign you need to give more. You think, maybe if I call her again, maybe if I prove myself, maybe if I shower her with reassurance, she'll come back closer. But all you're really doing is training her to treat you as an emotional vending machine. Every time she withholds, you feed the slot with more effort, more words, more gestures, hoping for the reward of her attention. That's how you end up exhausted, resentful, and still empty-handed. The antidote is counterintuitive but brutally effective when she withdraws. You don't chase, you don't match her excuses with reassurance. You don't start defending yourself against the silent treatment. You meet distance with calm indifference. Because here's the psychology she's not telling you when withdrawal fails to provoke panic. It loses its power. When you show her that her silence doesn't bend you, that her coldness doesn't make you scramble, suddenly the test turns back on her. She feels the weight of her own absence. And if she cares, she'll close the gap on her own. Another common trap is overinvestment. You've probably been told that the way to win a woman's heart is by proving your devotion. Bring flowers. Send long, good morning texts. Constantly remind her how much she means to you. But let me ask you, has that ever worked on a woman who wasn't already deeply interested? Or did it just make her polite, distant, maybe even annoyed? The reason is simple: attraction doesn't grow from overgiving. It dies there. When you give without her earning it, you teach her to undervalue you. She feels your need more than your strength. And neediness, no matter how politely disguised, kills respect. So how do you pull yourself out of this cycle? You recenter. You stop making her the source of your validation. You test her interest instead of proving yours. For example, if you've been the one always starting conversations, stop for a day. Watch if she initiates. If you've been the one arranging every date, step back. See if she makes the effort. If she doesn't, The answer is already clear. Her actions revealed her investment level, and you can walk away with certainty instead of confusion. Men who master this mindset understand something most never grasp. A woman's true interest doesn't need to be begged for, manipulated, or argued into existence. It reveals itself naturally. She'll reach out, she'll invest, she'll show consistency. And if she doesn't, no amount of words, apologies, or explanations will ever bridge that gap. The moment you stop fighting her actions and start reading them as truth, your entire dating life changes. You waste less time, you avoid manipulation, and you build the quiet confidence of a man who trusts his perception over her script. I'll tell you something harsh but liberating. Most of the pain you felt in relationships wasn't because women deceived you. It was because you deceived yourself. You saw the distance but called it stress. You saw the lack of effort but called it her personality. You saw the mixed signals but called it confusion. You reinterpreted her actions to fit the story her words were feeding you. That's the real betrayal, not hers, but yours. You betrayed your own instincts. And once you realize that, you can never go back to blind belief again. So next time, pause, watch, let her actions tell you the truth before her words try to cover it. And when you see the mismatch, don't argue, don't demand explanations, just adjust your investment. That adjustment is your power. It's how you stop being manipulated and start being respected. It's how you shift the dynamic from being tested to being the one who sets the standard. Have you ever chased harder the moment she pulled away, only to regret it later? Which of her withdrawal tactics have you fallen for the most? Silence, excuses, or sudden coldness? And if you stopped overinvesting today, what would change in the way she treats you? Some women will never tell you outright what they're doing, but their behavior exposes them. They'll speak of wanting a real man, but then constantly push your limits just to see how far they can go before you push back. They'll say they crave stability, yet they thrive on creating emotional chaos. Because chaos keeps you off balance. And when you're off balance, you're easier to control. This is the part most men don't want to admit. The women they feel most drawn to are often the ones who manipulate them the hardest. Why? Because unpredictability feels exciting. It feels like passion, but it's really power being shifted out of your hands. Picture this: you're on a date, and she shows up late. No real apology, just some casual excuse. In that moment, you tell yourself, it's not a big deal, but it is. Her action just announced where her respect level sits. You can ignore it, laugh it off, try harder to win her attention that night. Or you can calmly note that her behavior doesn't match the standards you hold. If you choose the first path, you've set the frame. Your time is negotiable. Your respect is optional. Your presence is disposable. If you choose the second, you shift the power back. You don't need to explode or scold. You simply stop rewarding what disrespects you. And that quiet refusal communicates more than any lecture ever could. The deeper psychology here is simple behavior, is the subconscious speaking out loud. A woman who truly values you doesn't need to plan her respect. It shows up in her consistency. She texts when she says she will. She shows up on time. She doesn't create fake emergencies just to test if you'll drop everything for her. When she invests in you, she doesn't make you guess. That's why you should treat inconsistency as the ultimate signal, not as an invitation to debate, but as the truth you need to act on. Most men get stuck in the debate stage. She cancels plans last minute, and instead of noting the action, he asks for explanations. She flirts with another guy in front of him, and instead of leaving, he asks if she's serious about the relationship. This is where you get trapped. You start negotiating with actions that already spoke the truth. And in that negotiation, you lose her respect. because she realizes she can disrespect you without consequences. Words become her shield, and you become her captive. You break this cycle not by arguing, but by detaching. You see the disrespect, and instead of demanding she acknowledge it, you show her through your own behavior that you won't stick around for it. You cancel the next plan. You pull your attention away. You stop rewarding inconsistency with effort. That's not coldness, it's clarity. It's the difference between being a man who reacts to her tests and a man who sets his own terms. One of the hardest pills to swallow is this: attraction is not built by being endlessly patient. It's built by boundaries. Every time you let her actions slip by because her words soothed you, you weaken your own boundaries. And women sense it. They sense when a man is desperate to hold on, when he'll accept any excuse just to keep her near. That desperation kills the very attraction he's trying to preserve, because attraction thrives on respect, not appeasement. And respect only exists when you hold the line. Now, let's talk strategy. The next time she says one thing but does another, resist the urge to call it out verbally. Instead, let your behavior adjust immediately. If she flakes on you, don't confront her with anger, simply stop initiating. If she gets distant, don't rush to close the gap, give her space and see if she comes forward. If she disrespects your time, don't demand apologies, just stop prioritizing hers. These actions are quiet, but they're loud in what they communicate. You don't need to explain your standards. You live them. And when you live them, she either steps up or steps out. The beauty of this approach is that it filters quickly. A woman who's serious, invested, and genuine will feel the shift and adjust. She'll match her words to her actions. A woman who's manipulative, self-serving, or shallow will reveal herself by continuing the same behavior. And that's not a loss for you, it's a win. Because you just saved yourself months or years of wasted effort on someone who never intended to give you what you deserve. You've been told to fight for love, to compromise endlessly, to be understanding. But let's be brutally honest, has that ever earned you the respect you craved? Or has it only trained women to take more while giving less? The truth is, men who win in modern dating don't argue. They don't beg. They don't over-explain. They watch. They evaluate. They act. And their silence speaks volumes. That silence is not indifference to love, it's indifference to manipulation. So ask yourself, how many times have you debated her actions instead of acting on them? How often have you lowered your standards just to avoid losing her? And what would change if, starting today, you let your silence and your boundaries do the talking for you? Some of the deepest damage in your life didn't come from what she said to you, but from what you let slide. Think about it. The late replies that you brushed off because she told you she was just bad at texting. The flirtatious comments with other men that you ignored because she swore it's just harmless fun. The lack of effort you excused because she promised things will get better once I'm less stressed. Every time you swallowed your instinct and clung to her words instead of her actions, you weakened yourself. Not because she had power over you, but because you gave it away. You need to understand something most men never grasp. Women don't respect what they can control. The moment she knows she can explain away her behavior and you'll accept it, she loses respect. She may still use you, still keep you around, but deep down, she doesn't admire you. And without admiration, attraction rots. That's why so many men wake up one day shocked that she left, shocked that she cheated, shocked that she turned cold. The signs were always there, her actions shouted it. You just chose to believe her words instead. Let me paint it clearly. She says she's loyal, but she still keeps her dating apps active. She says she's serious about you, but she won't introduce you to her friends. She says she respects you, but she constantly interrupts, belittles, or mocks you in front of others. These aren't slip-ups. They are confessions. And the man who ignores them is not being patient, he's being played. Every excuse you accept buys her more freedom to disrespect you without fear of losing you. And once she knows she can disrespect you, she will. Not because all women are cruel, but because human nature always pushes boundaries until it meets resistance. Here's the uncomfortable truth: she doesn't break you by leaving. She breaks you while staying, while slowly training you to settle for less. That's how men lose themselves, not in one dramatic betrayal, but in 1,000 tiny concessions where their standards died quietly. You didn't wake up one day weak. You became weak by allowing actions that chipped away at your self-respect. And the only way out is to reverse that process. Not by demanding she change, but by changing your response. So here's the strategy: trust the action, not the excuse. If she says she's too busy, but you see her posting online all day, treat her as busy for you. If she cancels plans more than once, stop offering new ones. If she talks about loyalty but entertains other men's attention, you don't argue, you detach. Stop rewarding contradictions. Stop giving chances to behavior that has already told you the truth. This is not about punishing her. It's about protecting you. Detachment is your strongest weapon because it forces clarity. When you no longer accept her excuses, she has only two options: align her actions with her words, or disappear. And either outcome frees you. If she steps up, you gain a partner who respects you. If she walks away, you cut ties with someone who never respected you in the first place. You win both ways. The only way you lose is by clinging to her words while her actions keep burning you. Let's go deeper into why this works. Attraction at its core is tied to perception of value. When you ignore disrespect, you lower your perceived value in her eyes. She may never admit it, but her behavior will show it: less effort, more distance, colder energy. But when you enforce standards through action, not begging, not lectures, just action, you increase your value. You signal that you are rare, that you will not bend for fear of loss, that your respect cannot be bought with sweet words. That's when attraction either stabilizes or collapses, and you want it to collapse if it was built on lies. You'll be tempted to confront her with words: why would you do this? Don't you care about me? Didn't you say you wanted something real? But here's the truth: your words will never be stronger than hers. She will always have an excuse, an explanation, a story to soothe your doubts. That's her domain, her actions. Though that's where the truth leaks out. So stop playing the game of who can talk better. Stop playing the game of who can act clearer. You don't win with better arguments. You win with stronger standards. I want you to think back. How many times have you ignored the confession hidden inside her actions? How many times did you swallow your instinct because her words seemed easier to believe? And how many months or years did you waste waiting for her actions to catch up to her promises? That's the cost of denial, but it doesn't have to be your future. You can stop right now. You can decide that her actions are the only language you'll ever listen to again. So let me ask you, what's the hardest part for you noticing the disrespect or walking away from it when you look back? Which actions do you regret ignoring the most? And if you had trusted yourself the first time, how different would your life look today? The brutal truth about attraction is that it doesn't live in her words at all. It lives in her energy, her patterns, her unfiltered behavior. A woman can tell you she's committed, but if her eyes scan the room when you're out together, searching for something or someone better, that's the reality. She can tell you she respects you, but if she rolls her eyes when you speak, interrupts you, or dismisses your thoughts, you've already lost her respect. She can tell you she loves you, but if her actions constantly make you question it, then that love is nothing but smoke. And you're the one standing in the fire, convincing yourself it's just warm light. This is where men suffer most, not because women are clever manipulators, but because men lie to themselves. You want to believe her. You want her words to be true so badly that you blind yourself to the evidence in front of you. You think love is about sacrifice, about giving endless chances, about patience. But love without respect is just slow self-destruction. And respect is not built on words. It's built on the discipline of holding her to the standard of her actions. Some of you are still clinging to the fantasy that if you just try harder, she'll eventually match her behavior to her promises. But here's the law you cannot escape when words and actions don't align. Actions always win. Always. Because they reveal what she values. They reveal how she sees you. They reveal whether she's invested or just keeping you around as an option. And every time you ignore that truth, you're not just losing her, you're losing yourself. So let's talk tactics. When you see the mismatch, you don't confront with desperation, you don't beg for explanations, and you don't spiral into overthinking. You respond with presence and detachment. She says she's serious but treats you casually. You treat her casually too. She says she's all in but shows no effort. You stop investing more than she does. She says she respects you but shows disrespect in her actions. You calmly remove yourself from her space. That's how you take back control, not through debates, but through withdrawal of attention. And nothing cuts deeper than silence backed by standards. Understand this attraction thrives on polarity. When she senses you can't walk away, she knows she owns the polarity. She becomes the one with leverage. But the moment you show her that your love is not chained to her excuses, that your desire is not dependent on her validation, the polarity shifts. She either rises up to meet you or she drifts away, and either path frees you. Because you are no longer chained to the illusions of her words, you are grounded in the reality of her behavior. Let me tell you a story you've probably lived in some form. A guy dates a woman who constantly cancels plans last minute. Every time. She gives him a reason: work stress, family issues, bad timing. He forgives her, believing the excuses. But one night, he stumbles across her story online out with friends on the same night she claimed she was home resting. His gut sinks, and yet, instead of walking away, he confronts her with words. She cries, says she didn't want to upset him, says it won't happen again. He forgives. A month later, the same thing repeats, and again, until finally, she leaves him for someone else, and he's left broken, wondering why his patience wasn't enough. The answer is simple. He ignored the confession her actions gave him from the beginning. He believed the lie because it was easier than facing the truth. The truth demands courage. Courage to see what's in front of you. Courage to enforce your standards. Courage to lose her if her actions don't match her words. Most men don't have that courage, and that's why they end up drained, bitter, resentful. But the men who do those are the men who become unshakable. They lose less time. They keep their dignity intact. And they attract women who are genuinely invested because they don't tolerate anything less. Here's your shift stop asking yourself, does she love me? Start asking, do her actions show love? Stop asking, does she respect me? Start asking, do her actions show respect? Because those are the only questions that matter. And once you live by those answers, you stop being deceived. You stop being manipulated. You stop wasting years in relationships that were dead from the start. So let me ask you, what mismatch between words and actions are you ignoring right now? What excuse have you been swallowing that you know deep down is a lie? And if you had the courage to act only on what you see, not what you hear, how would that change your reality today? She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.